Hi, my name's Lawrence Newcombe. I'm a technical and systems architect and CTA, working with large nonprofits to help them to make the most out of Salesforce and the other applications that they have as part of their estates. I've been last sort of 2 months or so. I've been implementing sfpowerscripts and sfpowerkit for an organization that I'm working with as part of a wider process of establishing a DevOps strategy and source control for the organization for a new org. So I came across sfpowerscripts. I think the first I read of it was a post from Caitlin on LinkedIn, and I ended up reading a few sort of related posts from that platform, and yeah, just kind of getting a sense of the tools. And it seemed to, at the time we were investigating unlock packages, I was quite keen to move towards unlock packages. It was a new technology for me. I've worked quite a bit with managed package development, so sort of fairly familiar with packaging in general. I've worked with CI and source control for some time as well in various capacities. But it was the first project for me, and sort of looking seriously at unlock packages. And reading some of those posts just really resonated with me around some of the difficulties that I'd seen, and sort of seeing through some possible solution approaches to address those with some of the tooling put together by the team behind sfpowerkit and sfpowerscripts. So yeah, if I was going to summarize the kinds of things I was struggling with at the time that the tooling has helped enormously with, say probably 2 or 3 things that I hadn't really figured out how to do well without being supported by additional tooling. So the first was really managing a large and growing number of unlock packages in a repository. So having a mechanism to deploy unlock packages in the correct sequence, all from a CI job, without having to hard code package names and so on into the jobs themselves, or having to maintain some sort of list in source control to do that. So it's great to see as part of the tooling. There's sort of dynamic analysis of the SFDX project JSON, which is ultimately the source of information around how packages need to be deployed in sequence. So it's great to see the tool that had essentially solved that problem. I think also looking at how we could make sure that scratch orgs are easily available to the team without there being a long lead time to preparing those. And specifically, the concern that I had before finding the tooling was around managed package deployment. So making sure that the scratch orgs had all of the managed packages that were prerequisites for the source code that we were deploying on top of those. Which, if we were doing all of that installation and deployment on the fly, as part of the process the developer goes through when creating a new scrap, and when picking a ticket to start working on a change, that would have been a long process, and it would have, I think, really kind of reversed some of the great benefits of using DX and scratch orgs. So yeah, the approaching the tooling to pools, both for CI and for developer pools through sfpowerkit, that's proved really useful for us. And we've as part of the build that's ongoing at the moment, we're using both of those types of pools. Probably worth mentioning that particular scenario could have possibly been avoided with the pilot for having, I forget the name, but the having essentially the version of your being able to kind of capture a version of a scratch org and then reuse that for new scratch orgs. So I was quite keen not to rely on any pilot features as part of what we're doing right now, just because you never really know which direction they could go in future. So yeah, I didn't want to have Salesforce pilot features in our live deployment. So yeah, the pooling features are working really well for us in that regard. The other aspect that really keen to solve through automation and reduce the need to sort of have ongoing maintenance around is the version management of packages. So when we come through to excuse me, to deploy packages through environments and increment versions appropriately, want to make sure that that's possible to do without the team needing to, each time we make a deployment, have to go in and think about which packages have changed, which ones need to be incremented, which dependencies need to be incremented, and to really kind of abstract away all of that version incrementing logic. So currently what we are doing in our kind of test build at the moment is just incrementing all versions of all packages through some scripting that updates the SFDX project JSON. But yeah, I'm aware the team are looking at ways to improve how versions can be increased using the tooling itself, which is really exciting to hear. And yeah, really looking forward to some of those changes coming through soon. So yeah, as I say, been using the tools for a couple of months or so. I think in addition to those sort of key kind of areas that were, for me, seem to be addressed very effectively. Other things that I've just really appreciated about working with the tools, the level of granularity that we have with the controls, so the CLI commands, both PowerKit and PowerScripts. Being able to really kind of break up our pipeline and use the appropriate commands in the way that we want to use them. So the tooling is not prescriptive over using a particular pipeline methodology or DevOps approach, which for us is perfect. So it means we can really kind of tailor it around a process that is going to work for how we work as a team. So that's been really good to discover. I mean, unlike some sort of some popular automation tools which kind of give you a fairly sort of hard prescriptive DevOps pipeline. This is great that this can really just work with the pipeline of the project. And yeah, finally, just to mention, it's I think another aspect that's just really kind of been a huge positive for myself and the team is just how well supported the products are. So how much extensive documentation there is on the commands, both sort of the the technical details, but then also some of the recommendations in the blog posts and so on around how to use the tools effectively. So yeah, there's a really good kind of spread of different kinds of information that sort of high level stuff to just get an understanding of the tools, and then right down to really detailed information in the documents themselves. Of course, everything being open source is really helpful as well, so it's easy to just jump into the repo and understand sort of some aspects of how the commands are actually working. And so finally, just to say, it's great to have a chance to say a huge thanks to the team. It's as I say, we're I feel like with this project we're in a much better place than we would have been if we'd just approached this to try to build our pipelines from the ground up just using DX alone. Very grateful to have found the project, and I've just been personally helped by a number of the members of the team. So yeah, huge thanks to everyone who's supported with our work.